Confidence is not ego. It's not noise. It's not performance. It's not pretending to be more than you are. True confidence is quiet, focused, disciplined. It comes from self-respect, not self-promotion, from action, not affirmation. The Stoics knew this. They didn't seek applause. They didn't demand validation. They built themselves from the inside out. And what they built could not be shaken by opinion, fear, or failure. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's something you earn through daily discipline, reflection, and right action. It's not loud. It doesn't need to be. It's in the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's in the way you stay calm in chaos. It's in the way you speak with purpose, not volume. True confidence doesn't need to convince anyone. It simply exists, and that is enough. It doesn't flex, it doesn't boast, it doesn't beg. It walks forward even when the path is uncertain. Confidence is trusting yourself to do what's right, even when it's hard. It's built by facing discomfort, not avoiding it, by making promises to yourself and keeping them, by learning from failure without being defined by it. You don't become confident by being perfect. You become confident by showing up, even when you feel unready. By taking action before you're certain, by choosing courage over comfort, over and over again. The world may try to shake you, it may test you, but when your confidence is rooted in virtue, you remain grounded. So let's begin. Chapter 1. The foundation of confidence is self-respect. You cannot be confident if you secretly do not respect yourself. Self-respect is built through alignment when your actions match your values. If you lie, break promises, avoid responsibility, or choose ease over effort, your confidence will always be hollow. The Stoics taught that confidence begins with virtue. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because real growth requires rejection of comfort and approval. When you choose honesty over image, effort over excuses, discipline over desire, you begin to trust yourself. And that trust is the root of real, unshakable confidence. Not bravado, not arrogance, but the kind of quiet strength that doesn't need to be seen to be certain. Chapter 2. Confidence grows from action. Confidence doesn't begin in your mind. It begins in your movement. You don't think your way into self-belief. You act your way into it. Each time you show up when it's hard, you prove something to yourself. Each time you do what you said you'd do, even when no one's watching, you reinforce your character. The Stoics didn't wait for motivation. They acted with discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being." Confidence grows every time you choose effort over excuse. Every time you keep your word, every time you rise when it would be easier to rest. You don't need to feel confident to act. You need to act to feel confident. Your future self is built by what you do, not what you hope. Chapter 3. Stop seeking external validation. Confidence built on praise is fragile. If it was given to you by others, it can be taken away. The Stoics knew this. They didn't chase reputation. They didn't measure worth in applause. Epictetus said, "If you want to be free, don't wish for things to happen as you wish. Wish for things to happen as they do." The more you need others to approve of you, the less you can trust yourself. Confidence rooted in validation becomes slavery to opinion. It makes you small, cautious, inauthentic. But when you stop seeking permission, you start standing in power. You become grounded, clear, quietly assured. Build a life so aligned with your values that praise becomes unnecessary. You don't need to be seen. You need to be solid. Chapter 4. Fail forward with grace. The path to confidence runs through failure. No one becomes strong without falling first. And the Stoic doesn't fear failure. They prepare for it. They expect it. They learn from it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This awareness makes failure seem small in the face of life's brevity. What does it matter if you stumble, if you get back up wiser? Each failure reveals where to grow. Each mistake humbles the ego and refines the character. You are not your worst day. You are what you choose after it. Chapter 5. Confidence begins in the mind. Before it shows in your walk, your tone, or your voice, confidence begins in thought. Your beliefs shape your behavior, and most people's self-doubt is rooted in unquestioned thoughts. The Stoics trained their minds like warriors trained their bodies. They didn't indulge every fear, they examined it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What color are your thoughts? If they are clouded with comparison, fear, and weakness, your life will reflect that. But if you train your mind to focus on what's true, what's in your control, what matters, you will walk with quiet power. You are not your thoughts, but you are the one who can train them, and trained thoughts lead to an unshakable life. Chapter 6. Confidence is earned in private. The strongest confidence is built when no one's watching, not in front of a crowd, but in the silence of your own choices. When you do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it's invisible. That's when you begin to respect yourself, and real confidence is just self-respect in motion. Seneca wrote, "How much better to pursue a straight course and eventually reach that destination where the things that are pleasant and the things that are honorable finally become the same." Your private habits shape your public presence. Confidence doesn't come from being praised in front of others. It comes from being proud of what you do when you're alone. Stay consistent when it's quiet. Show up even when no one claps, because the deepest confidence is built in discipline, not display. Chapter 7. Focus on what you can give, not how you're seen. The insecure mind asks, "How do I look?" The confident mind asks, "How can I serve?" Confidence isn't self-obsession, it's self-forgetfulness. It's the ability to put your energy into what matters, not how you're perceived. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." You don't need to prove yourself when you're focused on something greater than yourself. Shift the spotlight away from your image and onto your impact. Ask, "How can I help? What value can I bring to this moment?" Confidence grows when you live with purpose, because purpose makes fear irrelevant. Chapter 8. Speak the truth, even when it's hard. Nothing strengthens your spine like honesty. When you tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you, you remind yourself that you're grounded in something deeper than approval. The Stoics place truth above all else, because truth builds clarity, and clarity builds confidence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. Speak less. Mean more. Don't use your words to impress. Use them to honor your values. Say what you mean. Do what you say. There is no confidence without integrity, and integrity begins with your voice." Chapter 9. Face the things you fear. Avoidance shrinks your soul. Every time you run from discomfort, you teach yourself to be afraid of it. But when you face it, step into it, you reclaim a piece of your power. Seneca said, "He who fears death will never do anything worth living for." You build confidence by proving to yourself that fear doesn't rule you. Start small. Do the thing you hesitate to do. Have the hard conversation. Make the difficult choice. Step forward when everything in you says, back away. You don't eliminate fear to become confident. You become confident by acting in spite of it. Chapter 10. Confidence is a daily practice. You don't build confidence in one moment. You build it through repetition, through daily reminders, through disciplined living. It's not something you feel. It's something you live, day after day, hour by hour. The Stoics didn't chase emotion. They chased excellence, and they knew that greatness wasn't found in flashes of brilliance. It was forged in the fire of routine. Confidence is doing what needs to be done, even when it feels dull, even when it feels slow, even when no one notices. Because over time, those small, consistent acts of self-mastery add up to a quiet, unstoppable power. That's confidence. That's Stoicism. Chapter 11. Comparison is the thief of confidence. You will never feel grounded if you're always measuring yourself against others. The Stoics didn't compare. They concentrated. They focused on their own improvement, not someone else's progress. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." Confidence doesn't grow in comparison. It grows in clarity. Your path is your own. Your pace is your own. Every time you look to the side, you lose sight of the way forward. Instead of asking, "Am I better than them?" ask, "Am I better than I was yesterday?" That's a question that leads to growth. That's a question that builds confidence. Chapter 12. Let go of the need to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of progress, and progress is what builds confidence. The Stoics didn't aim for flawlessness, they aimed for virtue. They knew the path to strength was paved with mistakes, not perfection. Epictetus said, "If you want to be perfect, begin by believing yourself imperfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be willing to keep showing up." Confidence doesn't come from never failing. It comes from never quitting. And that's something anyone can do, one day at a time. Chapter 13. Stay rooted in reality. Confidence isn't delusion. It's not pretending that nothing can touch you. It's seeing the world clearly and still choosing to stand tall. The Stoics trained for reality. They visualized hardship. They prepared for loss. But they didn't let fear stop them from living fully. This is premeditatio malorum, the practice of mentally preparing for what could go wrong, not to panic, but to stay ready. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." When you realize how little you control and how little time you have, you stop fearing what might happen and start focusing on what you can do with what you've been given. Confidence is rooted in truth, not fantasy, not arrogance, just truth. Chapter 14. Guard your inner fortress. The world will try to shake you. Criticism, pressure, temptation, they're constant. But the Stoic doesn't rely on the world for stability. He builds his fortress within. Your thoughts, your values, your daily habits. These are your walls, your protection, your peace. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So take inventory. Are your thoughts disciplined? Are your actions in line with your principles? Confidence isn't just how you stand in comfort, it's how you hold steady in chaos. And the only way to do that is to build strength where no one else can see it. Inside. Chapter 15. Live a life you're proud of. At the end of the day, confidence is simple. Live in such a way that you respect the person in the mirror. Do what matters. Keep your word. Show up. Grow. Apologize when you fall short, and then keep going. Marcus Aurelius didn't seek fame or applause. He lived for duty, for principle, for clarity. And because of that, he could face himself without shame. He could look at his life and say, I did what I could with what I had, guided by what I believed. That's confidence, not noise, not ego, but quiet certainty, earned through a life lived in alignment. Final reflection. Self-confidence is not a gift. It's not found in books, courses, or compliments. It is built, slowly, quietly, honestly. It is built when you keep your word, when you act with courage, when you focus more on contribution than on attention. It is built when you fall and get back up, when you stop pretending, when you face fear and move forward anyway. Confidence is not about believing you'll never fail. It's about knowing that no failure can shake who you've become, because who you are is not fragile. It's forged. Self-confidence grows when you show up consistently, even when no one's watching. When you make decisions aligned with your values, not your insecurities. When you stop chasing approval and start living with integrity. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the most grounded. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to keep asking the right questions. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to act despite fear. Confidence is quiet mastery over the self. It's built one small promise at a time, one hard choice at a time, one honest action at a time. No shortcuts, no secrets, no applause needed. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you grow stronger. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you build trust with yourself. And over time, that trust becomes unshakable. So know your worth, act with courage, walk in truth, and become unshakable.